All right. Good Monday morning, you guys. Oh my gosh. Christmas is like, what, 16 days away? My kids have this bluey countdown. It's the only reason I know these things. But oh my gosh. Okay. We'll just jump right into it. You guys are listening to Author Talk with me, Aimee, Russell, Valerie. Our lovely guest is AnnCharles this morning. You guys, let's dive into the weekend. Okay. Shall we? Yes, of course. All right. So, of course, here in Texas, Russell, I think maybe you were here for it. It was raining. It was just like crap weather, cold, rainy. You didn't want to do anything.
Typical South Texas, Houston
Yeah,
weather.
exactly. You didn't really want to do anything. So it just was, is what it is, right? So we decide we're going to take the girls to see this Christmas in the Park, which is like a central park that we have here. They light it up in one weekend. They do like all these festivities. So they had Santa made an appearance. They had snow sleds, like sliding, hay rides, band playing, all these fun things, right? Josh comes home from work on Friday. He's like, we're doing this. We eat dinner, we go. It starts raining. It hadn't rained all freaking day. Started raining. We're like, oh my God. Okay, we'll just sit in the car and wait for it to go. It's just going to be like a blip, right? Okay, cool. We park, we sit in the car, it stops. We're like, all right, cool, we're going to go. So we're walking. None of us have jackets with hoods, because it's like really not that cold. It's like, I don't know, it's like 50, maybe 60. Next thing you know, we're all bundled under a tree because it's raining again. Okay. So by the time we went to take photos with Santa, which this is why I have not posted this photo, and no, I'm not going to share it. You guys are never going to see this photo. Our Santa family photo looks like a hot mess, like 3000, because all of our hair has been wet and soaked and frizzy and crap, because you know how it goes. And then on top of that, you
That's
just
so
have,
funny and cool.
no,
It
it's
is.
terrible. It's terrible. And then we did the hayride, and we were in the front of the hayride, which you get the most wind on the hayride. Not that it's going very fast, right? So I'm over here freezing my ass off, and Sky's over here just yelling at everybody like, hey, how's it going? Get out of the way. I mean, she has no problem telling people to move, okay? She is my spirit animal, and I love her dearly, but sometimes she's just too vocal. So that's just Friday, you guys. It's just Friday. Saturday, my neighborhood had a Christmas get together through all the model homes. Each model home in the front of my neighborhood was doing something different. So we had goodie bags, hot chocolate, ornament making, Santa, get a cupcake, right? So fun. Yeah. I'm a sucker for a goodie bag. All of you guys know this. So when it was 1:00 and it was like pouring ass rain, I was there to get my goodie bag because I just wanted a goodie bag. I don't know what my problem is. I have a problem, but we were there. We get a hot chocolate. We go to the next model home. Now, these are the model homes, that you look at when you're thinking about building or buying a house, right? So we're making an ornament. Meadow drops her hot chocolate all on the floor. Yeah, of course, it's not when it was just us in there. No, why would it be that? Of course. Nope. It's when it's packed. There's a lot of other kids there, and you're just mortified. You're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. At least this isn't carpet flooring. Let me clean it. Like, I'm so sorry. Then these people go into like sales mode. They're like, no, these are really nice vinyl floors and all this. I'm like, I just want to go get a cupcake. Okay, that's all I want to do. I'm mortified. My child, I can't take them anywhere. So, right, that was my nutshell, you guys, in a weekend. Saturday or Sunday, I stayed inside. I did laundry. I avoided people because Lord knows what's going to happen. The funniest thing that happened was Saturday night. I took the girls around the neighborhood looking at Christmas lights, just quick little pop in, pop out. We had to wait for someone to back into their driveway. I did not know that Sky's window was still down at this time. Okay. Sky, being who she is, sticks her head out of the window, and this guy's window is also down. And she's like, thank God you finally moved so I can see more lights. So her window went up really quick after that. Okay. I don't know what's wrong with this 4-year-old, but this is what has happened. And so those were Friday and Saturday. So of course Sunday, we just chilled. Okay. We stayed indoors and kept Sky away from people. It's too peoply in the world, I guess, for her. But I'm dying to hear what you guys did this weekend. I hope it was a little bit better, than mine with less attitude and sass. Okay. So tell me all, what did you guys do this weekend? Valerie, do you want to go?
Go, Russell.
Ooh,
Okay.
Russell.
I did a lot, but I have to start off with advice. If
Okay.
you practice law and you're watching a Hallmark movie with your wife, you should not continually point out how
Yeah.
unconstitutional or illegal the police in the Hallmark movie are acting,
No.
because someone will throw you out of the room. So that's very important for those of you. Do not do, most people that like Hallmark do not like commentary during Hallmark about how stupid it is. So don't do that. Okay.
Big no.
Or you have to eat dinner alone because you're not allowed in
Yeah.
the room because she's watching Hallmark with it. And it was my idea to watch a Hallmark movie before the Kansas City Chiefs game.
Well, but
So
you
did you
ruined
not
your
know?
idea.
Yeah. Did you
You
not know
ruined
that
your
Hallmark
idea.
movies are like that?
She kept yelling, "That's not the Hallmark." She just told me to shut up.
That's good. Yeah.
And it was like, it was too brazenly unconstitutional what they were doing. Anyway, so I do want to say, I have another comment about Bjorn.
Okay.
Bjorn is an author that's been on this show, and you've actually appeared on shows with Ann, because I've appeared on shows with you and Bjorn. Bjorn is a worker. He writes a lot of books, and he works his social media hard and correctly. And I won a fire award. I'm very excited about that. I found out this weekend. But the way I found out is because Bjorn found out that he won one too, and he blasted it all over social media and tagged everyone that also won it, which also, which lets me know, but also spreads his word around. And so, Bjorn, another good day at the office by you. I was very impressed. I actually shared his post everywhere because I thought, good job. So I'm going to help reward him. Uh, you got also para or normal. It is, and I don't think you've been on that show. It's a show that talks a lot about Bigfoot. And it has people that hunt Bigfoot on it, and they invest a lot of money on it. It's part of their social circles too. And I was on that show telling old trial and lawyer stories. And I just heard from the guy that runs that show that they've already had, since it came out, 15,000 hits, listeners. So I was like, I wanted to give them a check on our air, because I was like, wow, good job, guys. But I had that. Those are all things from just this weekend. I went to the UT Georgia game, but I don't want to talk about that. So we'll just leave that alone.
But that was
It
such
was
a
a good
great
game.
game. That was a
It
good
was an
game.
awful game. Terrible,
No,
terrible.
the outcome was not what we all had hoped, but I'm also biased. My dad's a Georgia Bulldog fan. He was born in Augusta, Georgia. I have UT in my family, but it was a really good game in overtime. It was a good
And
game.
And I heard from my uncle that puts UT in a better place in the bracket.
it does, but we had to walk out of the stadium with 75,000 incredibly drunk 20-year-olds. It was awful. I got to tell you, that part of it was awful, because you had to experience that, and the screaming and yelling and drunkenness. It was a wild end of the night. And I don't drink when I go to football games, anything but Coke. So, and that's why. Because,
That's smart.
and
That's
that's
smart.
why.
Yeah. I could see.
Anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, that's his version of what happened. I like it. It's a good
Right.
version. Yeah.
We'll just take it for what it is.
Yeah.
And what'd you do this weekend?
First of all, I need to check out that paranormal podcast. That's fun. Bigfoot, that's fun stuff.
They're cool people too.
I'll
So
need to-
they're fun to be on the show with. They're very relaxed and funny group.
maybe if you have a chance, send me the name of it offline and I can check it out more and see, because that sounds just like some good, juicy, fun stuff to listen
I
to.
will. And if I forget, send me a reminder because it's typical that I forget. So
I will, but I forget too, because I'm getting older too. So, I thought, I mean, I didn't think this, but I decided we would put out 2 books at once in early December. The new Deadwood 14 and do some pre-orders. And then also I'm working with a publisher that put out the first book in the Deadwood series as hardcovers. And that released as well. And I have pre-orders in my store. What I didn't think about, I'd also put out my yearly calendar I do, because I do little amateur photography and then people buy the calendars. I didn't realize how much that would turn my weekend into me being, one of Santa's elves. And all I did was sit and wrap and pack and prep and get this ready and, put orders together and get stuff ready for pre-orders. So that it was a really crazy, weekend, boring to the rest of the world. But I've just been so busy doing that. And every year I think this December, I'm not going to do anything big so that I can enjoy the season, with my kids. And then, I do something like this. So it was watching movies, and I watched some Hallmark movies too. Fortunately, my husband writes, so that when we start talking about, script and different things going on and turning points and where they're not, then, he doesn't kick me out of the room. He can just nod. Yeah. But then, yeah, I love the whole idea. And I have a lot of friends that write some for Hallmark. So I know it's a style. It's just, I tend to go, okay, now let's watch something where people get, shot up and, there's military action or something like that. Cause I need to mix that up.
Mm-hmm. True that.
So that's it. I didn't have a fun weekend.
I need to thank our listeners. We have people listen to us all week. Most people don't listen to us on Monday when we're live, but they listen to our podcast during the week. We're top 10 independent book podcast in America. We're very grateful people listen to us. I actually could not find us when we were first on the air on podcast, and I couldn't find us for months. Until Aimee did whatever she did. She describes as selfish, but all of a sudden it was real easy to find us. Aimee, where do people find us on our podcast?
Well, it was selfish because I just took over the branding. I rebranded us, you guys, and then I told Russell about it. So I technically asked for forgiveness in a sense is what I did. I took charge on that one. But no, you
I actually believe in
us.
that, by the way.
I know.
That's the right way to do stuff.
We are very similar, Russell. We are very similar. But no, you can find us anywhere that you can find or search for a podcast. So I'm going to tell you my go-to. I'm sure that there are more out there. I know that there are. But my go-to is Amazon, Spotify. I'm an Android user, so Google. If you're an Apple, iTunes, Good Pods is another one that you can find us on. But anywhere that you can type in, search for a podcast, type in AuthorTalk, look for the crimson, red, and gold, because that will be us. And let me tell you, if Russell can finally find us, I have faith that all of you guys can find us. Now, if you want to watch us live, you guys can come over to any one of our social media platforms. We have a Facebook group if you want to join it too. On a YouTube channel, you can see all of our fun facial expressions and animated self. I'm mostly talking about myself on that one. I am very animated. I don't sound it, but I am extremely animated. Russell is very good about poking fun at me for that in my 100 children that I have.
And listeners, she also has a really bad temper, though she rarely loses it where you can tell during the show. It's usually after the show.
Yeah, I do.
We've heard stories.
I have worked on my anger self. Okay. I've done work on that. But yes, I do have a short fuse and a short patience fuse. So you generally won't hear me get mad on the show, but it will be written all over my face. But without further ado, Valerie, you did not tell us about your weekend, my friend. So tell us about yours.
I am really really trying to get my brain back straight after this weekend. It was a little crazy. So I had 3 markets in 2 days. I started out Friday with the John Cooper author signature series. It was their 20th anniversary. And Lisa Jewell was the featured author, and which we all got to, meet her and get your book signed and everything. But what an inspirational speaker she was, just incredible. I think I sent you some pictures, Aimee, just detailing her journey as an author. I just want to just share a few notes that she said, and it was just that how she just randomly, took a chance, and by encouragement and all these things, people that circumstances in her life. And then she sent 3 chapters out to an agent, and then they perchance like happened to like it. She's like, wait a minute, I only wrote 3 chapters. I never wrote anything. And just, but it just all this stuff, like she had encouragement, inspiration, permission to start from different people, life experiences that she incorporated into these novels. Just, having one good teacher impacted her life as a writer, just creative freedom, and just building on all her ideas. It was just an incredible speech by, now she's like this huge author with over 20 best-selling novels, and you're like, wow. It just, and I think it just applied to so many people in the room, just that whatever you do, just go for it. Just go for it, just because you don't know where it's going to take you. And then also on Saturday, yeah, there she is. What a super, super great person. She was just so sweet, so sweet. Just everybody just, really connected to her. But she said she had been through a bad divorce and all these different things, and just, and then support from friends. And then it just built on one thing, built on another and another and another. And here she is. So that's very encouraging, as there were like over 20 of us authors there, local authors, selling our own books in support of this event. So I think, like I was saying, I think it really connects with a lot of people. And then on Saturday, I went to a local holiday market. There's that one at John Cooper's school where they featured us, with all of our bios and everything, which was really great. Just being there for the 20th anniversary. And then there's this one. This was Saturday night. It was a Houston book market where we had 15 female authors. And as far as I know, everyone was local. And that was so great. When you walk around the room and hear everyone's story, you had cancer survivors, you had romance writers, you had, people who built on nonfiction from their personal business experience, just all kinds of things, poetry, and they're like calling them spicy romances. I was like, okay, spicy romance. Just all these different things. And a lot of them just incorporated, again, what they know, what they did into their novels. Just the person next to me had a great book. It was she had a story that was like 100 years into the future after King Arthur, and then she made it like into a coloring book into the story with beautiful illustrations. And so you're like so inspired. I'm just everywhere I went, I was inspired. But I did get a picture with Santa, and we read our stories together, and that was the highlight of my day. But it's this overall meeting authors from all over. The whole weekend was a great time. And then yesterday was the cousin Christmas with I had to host. So I'm like I said, I'm getting my brain back.
Just a little bit. That is a fun, packed weekend.
Yes.
Valerie.
But the authors you meet going out and networking and just hearing all of our journeys, and it's very inspiring, just knowing that first of all, we're not alone, and then we're all a little crazy because we're just taking a chance and going out there and just doing it. Just that's all you have, because you just don't know. You don't know what's going to happen. And Anne, can you share a little bit about how you started?
Oh boy. Sorry, I was all thinking about what you were doing.
Yeah.
Wow, I was working a full-time job, and I just I can't remember if I told this on with you guys before, but I would read. I was always a reader, of course. I didn't think I was going to write, but I thought I would read books, and it was romances back then when I was younger, and I thought, I just want more. The ending wasn't quite what I wanted. It was good, but I want more. And so I complained to myself so much that, the other side of my brain said, well, shut up and write something yourself then. Why don't you, and make it what you want. And so it kind of started that way, just writing a story for me. And then even when I wrote that, I wasn't thinking, oh, I'm going to be an author someday. It was, I'm just going to try to write this story to shut up that complainer in my head. And then it just kept building from that. And I found something that I loved. I worked a job and it was a wonderful job, but I would sit in conference, room meetings and think, how can you guys all be into this, software product this much? I can barely, hang in there. It's not my thing. So I wasn't, passionate like they were. And then I found writing and marketing and the whole author world. And suddenly I could sit in a room and listen to a whole conversation and not be bored. Maybe that's a little ADHD. I don't know. But all of a sudden I could soak up everything and I was into it and it was exciting and fun and I wanted to do it. So it just kind of, snowballed from that start of writing that first book, which I still have handwritten and it's atrocious. But hey, it was, start to end, done. Now, what do you want to do? Do you want to keep going or not? So that was
exactly. Because when I was talking to all these authors, I mean, even though the girl next to me had said she quit her full-time job to dedicate 1 year of her life to getting her book launched and sold and everything, and just she goes, if I'm gonna commit, I'm gonna commit big. And I was like, you go, girl. It was like, that is, you really believe in yourself. And she's like, I'm gonna make it work. And I was like, that's amazing. Just because, sometimes that's what you got to do. You got to just, if you don't jump, you don't know.
I know. I love that. I didn't jump quick. I'm a turtle. My friends and I joke, I am like a turtle. I'm going to slowly check it out and make sure. But I also had 2 young kids. I had babies at the start, Aimee's kids younger. When my daughter was born and I had a few weeks off work, I thought, okay, this is it. And I told my husband, this is it. I'm going all in while I'm off on, maternity leave. And he goes, I thought we were all in. What do you mean? And so it was like, I'm really going balls to the wall now. And I'm going to market and I'm going to just, do everything I can. And so I kind of, even though I'd been writing and working before and had some stuff going, I really considered that when I really went all in. But I kept working for 7 more years because, we had kids and I just couldn't. I wanted to just go all, put the other one. So I just basically worked 2 jobs. I worked 40 hours at one job and 40 hours at the other, and drank a lot of caffeine, Red Bulls, whatever it took, to keep going. Spend time with the family when I can in between. And then in 2013, I could finally quit because I was making enough, income off writing to just be a full-time writer. But I know some people hit the lottery. I call it the author lottery, where it's like their first book or so just goes big. And when I'm not a little jealous, I'm like, that's awesome. But then other times like that, I don't like to, you don't want to be envious. And I have a thing on my fridge about, it's, you do it yourself. I can't remember the saying, it's too early, but anyway, there are moments of, oh, I wish, but then I think, no, this has been a really cool author journey that I've had. So I just need to focus on that and keep enjoying, the road that's in front of me and what I've lived through.
And most importantly, I feel like when I go to these things, the networking, oh my gosh, people are so willing to help each other. Just like, hey, I know this I can help you with, or I know this person, or I can, launch, I have ideas like how to, maybe you can get better outreach or better sales or better this and better that, and we're just always helping each other, which is a great experience. Just, the camaraderie among authors is a great thing because we all know the struggle.
I agree. I went to NINC, Novelists Incorporated, this fall in Florida for the first time. I have known about it for years. It didn't work out with the South Dakota Festival of Books that I typically go to, but this year it worked out. And I knew a lot of these authors and I felt very, a little bit shy and everything, but there are a few I knew ahead of time, online. And once we got together, it's just like, you just start sharing and laughing and feeling like you found your crowd, your group. And it's wonderful, the sharing and the any way to help each other that we can kind of attitude that comes along. That's so cool.
And that's what we do here at AuthorTalk. We help each other along. Yes. So tell us about what's going on with your new books and everything.
Like I said, it's a wonderful thing. As we keep saying, it's a wonderful thing. I just feel like I'm running around like crazy trying to market. I'm not one of those brilliant authors that gets the book done, 6-9 months ahead of time, and then we start promotion and early stuff, and then when the book comes out, we've been promoting for 6 to 9 months. I'm the kind of author that publishes the book and then says go on marketing, especially lately, because I had some family struggles with my parents the last couple of years. So I only put out a book a year, which meant I don't have time to wait for pre-orders. I have to get stuff out there for readers so that I stay relevant. I can't, do all the buildup that I'd love to do. And my wonderful publicist, Mickey Mickelson, is so patient with me. And he says, I know, Anne, I know we're going to run it this way. Don't worry. We'll do what we can, But so that means once I hit publish, we fly, and I start hitting social media and newsletter everywhere I can, putting the word out that, hey, these books are out now. It's not a pre-order. You can go get them and read them right away. So a lot of this weekend has been dedicated to letting all the different readers know via whatever reach, whether it's, Amazon now finally pushing out that, hey, there's a new book out, BookBub doing the new release stuff, newsletter. And I don't love writing newsletters. I really envy authors who really dig and have a great time with their newsletter. Because for me, and I always pick on people. I'm like, are you signed up for my newsletter? If not, why aren't you? Because I only am going to write you once a month. And trust me, I don't want to sit there and write you once a month, but I will. Yes. Maybe I'm not supposed to mention that out loud. Maybe I'm supposed to pretend that it's the greatest thing ever. But it's, as a fiction author, I just want to write fiction, So anyway,
also, I had a question. Somebody asked me a question. They're like, so why did you choose? I read your bio, because I'm a journalist, and they're like, why did you choose children's literature? That's so weird and everything. I was like,
why is that weird?
I don't know. And then I was like, I just like it. I had an idea over 30 years ago that I thought I want to build on it. How about you, Anne? How did you build on your genre?
Anne's genre is more weird, because who picks South Dakota, right? So that's a good question.
I know, it's the Black Hills. Well, my mom moved there, so I grew up part of the time there in the Black Hills that I didn't even know what they were until my mom moved there. I was so young when she moved, and I didn't realize the history. And then I moved there and found out all of the history in that area with the gold mining and Custer and so many things. And I just fell in love with South Dakota. But how did I get into this genre? I started out trying to write romance. The Little White Books, Harlequin. Yes. Yeah, Russell?
May I ask a couple questions? It's relevant to what she just said.
Sure.
Okay, the first question is, how do you use romance in your books now? And what do you use it as a tool to communicate?
So I love romance, even though, I love all kinds of movies, sci-fi. I love military action. I love watching all that kind of stuff. The A-Team. I love that. But I always love a little bit of romance. And I think it's because I started in romance and just a romantic at heart. So I started this book, and it was like the first Deadwood book. I wrote several before that, but the first one that I published, Nearly Departed in Deadwood, I incorporated romance, but I was backing it down. Actually, I was just going to have maybe at the end, like a Hallmark movie, the kiss at the very end. That's what I was going to do, because I was trying to get into mystery a little bit more, because I couldn't do the angst and all the emoting for romance. Maybe that says something about me, a Virgo. I just can't be that romantic, I guess. But I moved into mystery with dead bodies and all that stuff. So I just decided, I'm going to continue to have mystery, but I'm going to have I'd learned so much about writing romance. I'm going to still have a full romance growth, plot line, character growth, the whole thing. And because I do think as people, we love romance a little bit, of course,
it's the hope.
It's the heart. It's the heart of the story. And so I wanted to keep that in there along with all the supernatural and dead bodies and all that creepy stuff. So I use the romance really to partly show, like in the Deadwood series, Violet's character growth as she progresses in her romance as a single mom with 2 kids, accepting this man in her life. You know, that's not easy if you have 2 children from the start that you've had for 9 years. It's not easy to let someone in and let them, you know, you're vulnerable. You don't want your kids to get hurt. You have a lot of walls up, I figure. So we're seeing as her series progresses how she is growing, maturing as a character a lot through the romance arc, and her jealousy maybe in the beginning is gone. Now she trusts, you know, but now she's got this worry. So it's trying to think more along the lines of how we are in real life. You know, initially there's a lot of really hot emotions like jealousy or lust is really high. But then as time goes on with your romance, there's still struggles. You still, you know, you diss Hallmark movies and your wife kicks you out of the room.
I did not diss them. Don't get me in trouble. And you have just tried to nuke me. I was just doing commentary on the legality of some of the things the police officers were doing.
You comment on the legalities of the police officer actors in the Hallmark fiction film, and your wife kicks you out of the room. Is that better?
That's exactly right.
There you go.
You know, if anyone who's in a relationship for any length of time, it's not all happily ever after. There's constant where you're coming to agreements, you know, on things. And that's funny.
Yes,
and so, you know, that's part of, I think the character growth is so important. And it shows a part, especially when you're doing mystery, or supernatural and you're kicking some monster butt, you still want to see the humanity in the person, you know, in the character, and see them struggle so you can relate to that. And so that's part of the romance. That was a long answer. Next.
I have 2 more questions, Valerie. I'm so sorry. But
no, go for it.
The first question is, how do you use the location, South Dakota, the Black Hills? How do you sell that in your urban markets? And well, go ahead and answer that question.
Yeah, thank you, because I'll forget the first if you keep going.
Okay.
You know, just like how, let's not like I'm beating on Hallmark movies, but how, you know, the big city chick goes to the small town as a cookie factory, for example. So the setting in my books, whether it's Deadwood, South Dakota, or Jackrabbit Junction, Arizona, or a dig site in Mexico, which is what I'm working on next, the setting is a character to me. Just like all the other, you know, long-term secondary characters, that setting plays a huge part. Whether it's really hot in the summer, it's cold in the winter, it's, you know, things happening around the town. There's events. In Deadwood, there's the big Sturgis motorcycle rally every August that interferes with life. I've been there. I know how it can, you know, cause shifts in everyday life. Just using it as a character to give some color to the world, I think is really important. And not saying you have to. I think you could write a great book with really amazing dialogue set in a single coffee shop, for example. We've seen shows or books, you know, where they don't have a lot of setting, but I do like to incorporate it and use the setting to also set tone. Is it a scary time? Is it a sunny, bright, happy time? You know, however. What's your next question?
Oh, okay. This is a little bit more sensitive. One of the things you have to decide as an author is where are you going to go with sex in these relationships that you write about? How do you write about sex in your books?
Well, I'm thinking I'm weighing a bunch of stuff. Let me first say, like I said earlier, I wasn't going to have sex on the page in the Deadwood series. I had some really big interest. I worked with an editor a long time ago at one of the big publishers on that book. And he said, he was wonderful, but he said, I need you to put a sex scene in there. Sex sells. And I said, I don't have a problem with that. I've been writing romance for years, but I didn't know if this is what you wanted in this kind of a mystery mix. And he goes, sex sells, so let's add it. So I had to go back through and increase the sexual tension all the way through to build up to that. And then I while they were pondering that at the big publisher, I went ahead and wrote book 2, you know, and they'd already done the deeds. So book 2 was done. And then I got the rejection from marketing saying they didn't think Midwest was a big selling market, so they didn't want that series. And I already had book 2 done, and there's no going back once you do the deed, unless somebody hits their head, gets amnesia, and forgets all about it, you know. But otherwise, you've done it. We've had sex. Let's move on. So that kind of established, I used book 1 to establish what this series is going to be like. Number 1, there will be a sex scene or so. It's not super graphic. I don't even, erotica authors would kick me out of the room because I don't spend enough time on details. I give it pretty high level, but you know, the deed's being done because I want you to put what you want into it, you know. So I'd already done that, and I put that in book 1, so you know, reading the series, there's going to be sex. And I also have swearing because you know in the series they will be cussing. That way you know. Book 1 gives you the template of what we're about to go into, and it's going to get wilder from there is what I figure. So, and when I do sex on the page, I once worked I was at a conference with children's authors, Valerie. They were fun. And they were like, "You have sex on the page? What's that like?" And I said, "It's not me." So it's not really like a biography or autobiography where I'm telling you how I'm having sex. These are characters. So just keeping that in mind, that it's the characters and what would the readers love to see. Is it going to be emotional? Is it going to be hot and crazy? Is it going to be back alley, or is it going to be slow with, you know, music in the background type of thing? Just, but it has to build the story, you know, build the whole character arc. So that's what I consider.
And that's why when I was asking that one author and she said she had spicy novels, I was like, okay, in my mind, that's a wide definition of what could be happening in your books. Could it be like, I shared like Anne Rice has, you know, the pen name of Anne Roquelaire, I think that's right, in Beauty's Release or whatever. And then, so then that's a whole different, I was like, are you talking about like that stuff then? Or are you just talking like building up to like big Jackie Collins type stuff?
Well, you know, with the marketing world pushed us to start using words like spicy and cozy and edgy. You know, we have to use words. Yeah. Like how many peppers? Kelly's right. You have to list that so that readers know, you know, if they pick up my book, sometimes people say she writes cozy mysteries. And I'm like, no. Please don't tell people that, because they'll send me mean emails about what's on the page because they don't expect the level of spice. And that's kind of a marketing term that I've used that. I write spicy mysteries. So, you know, I'm not writing cozies. There's going to be language. There's going to be sex. There's going to be, you know, who knows, murder, you know, there's going to be blood, maybe guts, probably not guts. That grosses me out, but at least some blood, you know. So that's kind of a marketing term that we've been pushed into. I just went to a conference with someone who said she writes the spicy, dirty stuff. And I was like, no, wait a second. I'd like to write erotica and make a lot of money in that, but that's just not what I write. I can't. It's not my cup of tea. So
yeah, what is that like, Aimee? What do you think that's like to be sitting there and someone describe your stuff as spicy and dirty stuff? What?
Yeah.
What chair is she sitting in, right?
I mean, I don't know, because I read that. Like I've you know, I have a lot of clients that write that. I mean, I read everything from fade to black to erotic, right? I mean, I have to read them. I read all my clients' books before I take them on. And so I've read them. So for me, I'm just like, okay, it's like another walk in the park. But I mean, for like someone like my husband, right? Like when I talk to him about my books, and I'll just be like, man, this scene happened, and I don't know how I feel about it. You know, I don't know. Right. I've learned all kinds of new genres and subgenres of it. And he's just like, what the hell are you reading? Like, what is that?
Okay,
I don't know.
The last thing I have to say before we have to go, though, is that I've got more reactions on my treatment sometimes of animals, or the fear my readers have of what I'm going to do next with a particular animal, than I do with humans at all. I think that's ironic, but true.
True. You can kill people, but boy, be careful with animals. And I don't blame you. If I know that there's a movie coming and they're going to kill the dog, I don't want to watch it. I'm not watching it. You're going to break my heart in a way. I mean, it's hard enough, you know.
I'll be doing the ugly cry.
I know.
Yeah, it
Don't-
goes off. If I sense it coming, I'm like, nope, next movie.
Yeah,
The one I won't finish. I will not
they're
finish
total
that.
innocence. And due to that, I now in the Deadwood series, I mean, I do have a dog, a cat, a gerbil. I also have a chicken. That's one of the main pets. And I get wonderful chicken gifts from readers. And then some people warn me, you shouldn't have a chicken in your house. And I'm like, well, I really don't. But it's just in the, book.
It's
But-
in a book. It's not real.
But the chickens, I've learned so much about chickens and how amazing they can be and the funny things they do, which is wonderful. So
Yes. How awesome, Anne. I'm so happy for you.
I love it. Well, you guys, I know we're wrapping up on time. I'm going to get a nasty look from Russell here if I don't wrap us up. But it's always fun to have Anne on because we just learn so much. We have such fun, different conversations every time that you come on, Anne. So I want to take this time to thank you for joining us this morning and hanging out with us. But we'll do last minute comment questions. Anything. Valerie, let's go to you and then Russell.
Pleasure to meet you, Anne. Pleasure to meet you. Great conversation.
thanks.
And you need to tell us where people can find out more about you or find your books. And Mickey would kill you if you had gone on a whole interview without saying that. And you can contact Para or Normal through Mickey because that's where I got on it.
Okay, I'll have to do that. And it's AnnCharles.com, AnnCharles.com. If you go there, you look at books, you can see all the different books and the links and all kinds of stuff. Plus, there's a blog where I put newsletters and more. So if you just go to my website, it has just about everything you can need and links to social media too.
I love it. Well, you guys, we hope that you all have a fantastic Monday and a great rest of your week. And until next time, you guys, bye for now.